about yourself and your journey.
Hi, thank you, Ayushi. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. And as far as my introduction, I feel humbled to talk about it. A very small town girl. I belong to Bihar, a very small district called Darbhanga. So my origin is from there. And then I started my supply chain journey in 2007 with Monsanto. It was bought by Bayer later on, and I started my journey with sales. So my career is very colorful. So I started with sales, then transitioned into you know um, procurement in PepsiCo. From there on to logistics and warehousing in PepsiCo only, and from there on to pan India warehousing and logistics, and then South Asia I was handling in IKEA. And from there on, I started my journey with Medtronic, where I'm taking care of currently the customer service and owner operations function. So, multiple roles over the years, not a single moment of dullness, I will say. It's super colorful journey ahead, and I'm really thankful and grateful that I have got support from so many leaders around who are working along. So, thank you for having me.
That's actually a beautiful journey. And the fact that you have been across so many different roles, operations, sales, logistics, distribution, I feel that the amount of experience and knowledge we are going to learn from you today is going to be great. And I would love to tell our audience that you like storytelling a lot, which is quite visible on your LinkedIn. So please tell us, how did the whole storytelling aspect, your passion about it, and your supply chain skills come together?
So, you know what? People who are little introvert, they try to express their feeling through writing. Okay. So I'm somebody who is not very extrovert. So I take some time, to get into people, to understand them. So this from the very childhood, I was very, like, I would say vibrant, like was very creative. I used to write, I used to read a lot because I was not having many friends. So my channel of emotion were these things like writing, reading, etc. So this this knack was there always. But as I was started working in 2007, I sucked in corporate. You understand, it's not easy to work. And then female in supply chain, that too in logistics and warehousing sales, it's not easy. Hell lot of things. But over a couple of years, this itch was there that what are the experiences I'm finding in my corporate and personal life, where to vent out. Then I saw that people are writing on LinkedIn. I said, why not? Let's do it. And it was never about, I need not to build any business. So I'm not doing it for any kind of, professional purpose. It's just that I would like to, tell the world that this is the story and these are the experiences. Maybe they also share similar kind of experiences in their life. And that's how it is. So I feel that supply chain is a part of life. It's not the whole life, and there are many stories associated. So that's how it's a blending of the two experiences. So that's how it is happening.
That's actually a beautiful blend. And I have been following your posts and your journey on LinkedIn for a while now. And I must say that each and every post of yours, the story and the different ideas that you are putting across are quite deep and quite amazing. Like they do make me pause and think that, wow, that's actually a very different perspective of seeing things. And I feel
Thank
that
you.
talking about how many years you have been in this sector, as you said, you have been through a lot. So I would love to know, how are the different challenges in the sector and how did you confront them?
Many challenges. First of all, it's earlier, like now we have many ladies here, but earlier the female force was lesser. So this is something which make you little,
Hmm?
what to say, because you're not in the field with many females around, right? So
True.
sometimes it's a discomfort, but now you will see that taboo is gone. People are working a lot. People buying your perspective being a female can also be challenging sometimes. But if you keep proving yourself with the help of your professional excellence, that goes off, because people understand that this person being a lady also is going to do the justice of the role, so they come along. So that's how it is. So it's all about performance, I feel. After a while, gender, yes, gender is there, but then you have also people from opposite gender who supports you. So that is not a problem, because most of the time you have a male, supervisor, or the
True.
supervisor is also male most of the time.
Mhm.
So that is not a problem. So I think that taboo is gone. Now people are working towards it. Now new technology is coming, AI in picture. So we have lots of geopolitical disturbances going on. So lots of challenges. Supply chain is a field which is always in challenge because of one or the other thing, whether it is shortage
True.
of the semiconductors or a geopolitical situation or any kind of issue, the supply chain will be disrupted. So then the question here is how agile you are, how your strategies are, which is very, very flexible into the current world. So these things are a issue, but I think that also depends upon the strategy you are building for next 5 years into the company. That makes a lot of make and break difference. So that's how I feel.
That's actually very amazing and beautiful the way you explained it about how things function. And I feel that two major points that are focused on are normally cost optimization and operational excellence. And I feel that both of them are quite opposite or quite far. So, how do you actually navigate decisions that balance the efficiency with service?
So I don't think that cost optimization or operational excellence are far away from each other. Of course, they're parallel
Mhm.
lines, okay,
Mhm.
and they never meet, but they are at the intersection. So if
True.
you are building a project, so every project had its own, deliverables. Some projects
Mhm.
are around the operational efficiency or excellence. Some are
Yeah.
around cost. So, for example, when I joined IKEA, I
Mhm.
was doing all the South Asia logistics and warehousing, buying of all the everything. So all the negotiation, tendering, it was on my part. So within joining of 6 months, I ran a tender and I gave them a huge saving. So that project was itself for cost optimization.
True.
However, when I joined Medtronic, we had a very big flagship project coming up where we were talking about automation of ordering. So what automation of ordering means, let's say you are a customer, you are putting 100 orders and 85 orders of yours is manual and 15 you are putting through some platform. So for me, those 85 orders, my person has to go and take care of it. While
True.
15 were those which is like as Amazon and Flipkart were putting orders, right?
Mhm.
So for me, it's efficiency loss. So for them, we started using eStore. We put SFDC, which is Salesforce.com. So lots of efficiencies were built around. Idea was better customer delight and also order automation at its peak. So there we were not talking about, operational efficiency. Yes, it was there, but cost optimization was the center of it. So sometimes you take cost optimization, sometimes you take operational efficiency, sometimes in some of the project, it is both. So I will not say they are hurdles to each other. They are sisters who live in two different banks, but
Definitely.
there is, intersection where sometimes they meet also, sometimes they don't.
True. And I think we can say that it all depends on the priorities based on the
Yes,
situation. So, like,
yes,
if my priority right now is to save the cost, then I'll work towards that.
yes,
If my
absolutely.
priority is efficiency, then I'll just focus on that aspect, keeping the cost factor aside, just to
Correct,
reach the main goal of it.
correct. You
And
rightly said. And the end goal is always customer delight because customer is the king. So if your customer is happy, they will reorder. If they reorder, your same customer is giving you revenue, repeated revenue, right? So that impacts your top and bottom line. So that's how this keep, churning.
And I feel that the way you have explained it beautifully shows also your storytelling side of it, the whole process of explaining it. And thank you for making it so clear about how they are not oppositions but the same side, depending on your priorities. And I feel
Absolutely.
that supply chain definitely is one of those sectors which requires a lot of decision making. So, what exactly is your leadership style when it comes to decision making?
So my leadership style is I depend a lot on data, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, data is not the only decision factor. So if there is a data and data is telling you a story, you also need to understand the ground challenges. Okay. So I feel that very connectivity, lots of connectivity with the ground team who are at the execution, at the front line or maybe middle line managers. It's very important that we connect with them, because you can make best of the strategies, but if your front line or the people who have to execute, they are not in sync, it's of no use. So some of the things can be on paper, but when you are putting it on, ground, that is not sinking in. So it's very important that yes, data is a guiding light, I will say, but at the same time, it's very important that we have a very heart to heart connect with our team who are working with us, so that we show them the data, and at the same time, we also make them understand this is what we need to do, and we need to listen that what can be the hurdles or challenges in the future. Some of the things are non-negotiable, like compliance, non-negotiable. You don't listen there, right? But some of the things which can be traded off should be. So that's how it is. It also depends upon situation to situation, project to project, and team to team. So sometimes teams are very sensitive because people have to work, right? At the end of the day,
Definitely.
people are your biggest strength and also the biggest enemy. But if they are with you, your project will be successful for sure. But the trust and that connectivity and the communication has to be in flow. So that's how I feel.
Wow. And thank you for putting it out so beautifully as to how it's all comes down to the people who are actually a part of the team, because they are the ones responsible for the whole execution to take place in the perfect manner. But talking about the data aspect that you just mentioned, so being the newbie and a fresher that I am, and I think all the people listening are, what is that specific technical skill that you would suggest we work on before we enter the workforce?
I feel one is Excel. Excel is not
Okay.
gone. Still,
Mhm.
organizations are using Excel a lot. So
Mhm.
Excel, and then the BI tools. If you can learn it, if you can make the BI tools, there are very easy programs coming in market on Udemy or many other platforms. It's available. So if it's available, use that, and I think that will help. Also, I think many things you learn while you are on the go, while you are in the room. Okay, so you cannot do all the settings beforehand. But last but not the least, what I am not very good at is networking. So when you are in the job or off in the field, to whom you are talking, to whom you are sitting, to whom you are going out with, matters a lot, to whom you have a connectivity with. So because once you have a job in hand, you will or you have a work in hand, you will not go directly to the person. But if you have a connectivity built, you can always go back and ask for a support, right? So that long term, friendship, you can say, or
Mhm.
professional, connectivity, if you can build. So Excel, the AI related few courses, if you can, and also
Mhm.
networking. Networking matters a lot, I feel.
True. So again, we go back to people. How important it can be to know the right person to get the right job done.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Wow.
Yes.
Okay. And so that also covers my next question, which is about soft skills that we could work on. So I think your answer will be networking. But is there any other soft skill that really matters in the sector?
In any sector, communication.
Okay.
Yeah. How
Mm-hmm.
you
True.
communicate. And it's not only about the choices of words, it's also about your
Mm-hmm.
tone of working. When you're working with a team, what is your tone of delivery? If your tone of delivery is always harsh, people will be heartbroken and it will impact your work. So right from your mails. So it is formal mails, how you're writing your mails, how you're communicating your message, delivering it,
Yeah. Mhm.
and networking. I have already told you, but I think softer skills matters a lot. Maybe it's not tangible, but popular leaders you just look into on YouTube, on Instagram or wherever, LinkedIn. Just see to it. People who have better communication skills, whether it is writing, it's not also about titles. I don't feel that I get inspired by people who have bigger titles. No, it's all about uh, what is the tone of delivery, how they're delivering
Mhm.
the message, and what is the softer skills about them. That inspires me a lot. And I think it matters.
Definitely. And I feel that if there is one thing common among top leaders is the fact that they are really ready to be there, to be helpful. And as you said, the way they communicate is really so polished and so
Yes.
perfect that there is no chance of making someone feel less or bad. I feel each and every one of the top leaders out there are very humble and kind,
Yeah.
and that
Yes.
can be one of the major reasons they are at that position.
Yeah. So even I feel like in coming years, if I go to a director position or something like that, I would like to place myself as somebody. I mean, I understand there is a huge pressure in those positions. So it happens at every position. But how you're taking care of your team? Are you really contributing to their growth, or only it's about yourself? So these things I think matters a lot, because if you are only leader means what? Who is leading? So if you're leading some a team and then you're not contributing to their growth, their life positively, then I think it's really, time to ask questions, because we are not here for the eternal, years. There is a after 60 years, or maybe somebody would like to choose, let's say after 52, 52, 54, I would not like to work. So it's not eternal, but what kind of mark you are putting in people's life, that matters a lot. And I'm a big
Definitely.
believer in that.
And that definitely sounds like a beautiful long term idea to carry forward. I would say that when someone is just focusing on their own growth as a leader, they are
Yeah,
going for short term success, which is their own. But if they
yeah,
are taking the team together and focusing on each and every person's success, then that leads to the long term growth, not just of their own personal trajectory, but
yeah.
also the other people who are a part of the team. And I
True.
feel that one of the best moments I get to experience is when I ask my guests about their special moments and they mention some of their mentors who have helped build their career. I feel that the fact that they were able to leave such an important mark on someone's life is a very big thing.
It's a big thing. It's big thing. If you can uplift somebody with your own, whatever capacity you are, and that's a different feeling. When you're a giver, that's a different feeling. It gives you immense joy rather than when you're taking it. So try to be giver in whichever capacity you are.
Mhm.
Not necessarily very big, but even if you small,
Yeah,
contribution you can make, that matters.
true. And asking the same thing to you, what has been one of those special experiences that you have felt has changed your life beautifully?
So I think professionally, it was of course coming to IKEA,
Mhm.
because IKEA gave me a multi-country experience. So that was something which was a turning point for me. In PepsiCo, I was anyways handling pan-India logistics and warehousing, but and the volume was huge, budget was huge, but multi-country is a different aspect altogether. So you
True.
are handling many countries in one go, sitting in India and traveling to those places. So that was one, assignment which helped me to build my, professional arena. And as far as my personal life is concerned, I think my daughter, she makes me better human every day. I think I'm more patient now because of her, and I have got a friend of lifetime because she is
Definitely.
there in my life, and
Definitely.
these are two beautiful experiences I have. And as I told you earlier also, life is not only about professional experiences, it can be
Definitely.
personal. And of course my mother, she's one of the best friends all the time. So yeah,
For sure.
yeah, she is.
And it
So
really
whenever,
sounds. Mhm.
yeah, yeah,
Sorry, sorry.
please.
Please continue.
So
No, I
so
was just
yes,
saying it's such a special it's such a special experience to have your daughter and your mother as your best friends. Like that's the most I would say wholesome thing that I have heard today, and it is definitely the best feeling to have your mother as your best friend.
yes, because as I told you, I'm not somebody who will have hundreds of friends right from the childhood. a little introvert, a little insecure in that field. But I'm fine with that. Like if I have my mother and my daughter with me, I think I don't
Yes,
need anybody else. They're the
definitely.
biggest cheerleaders.
For sure. And I would say that although you say you are an introvert, I really love the calmness and the beauty with which you are giving me all of your answers. Because if you're an introvert, the most I think I could have expected was like a two-liner for my questions. But the elaboration, it really shows that the whole storytelling aspect, which you say is just out on the LinkedIn in terms of your post, when verbally put up, it is really so beautiful. You are super talented, and the art of explaining is definitely a gift to you.
For that, Ayushi. And I really, look into the courage you have, because being a child, being a youngster, you are putting everything, in place. It's a thing. You are putting the podcast. You are asking to strangers, come to my podcast, give your thoughts. So for me, being a, somebody who is for some time in the field, I feel it's our duty to, support this. So even if I my answer will be like two lines, I would like to elaborate it because I think we should encourage each other, right? You should pat me and I should pat you. That's how this world revolves, right?
That's very sweet. Thank you so much for your kind words. And it is really only possible because of people like you who are being so respectful and kind to give me your time and your stories to learn from. Because I really wasn't very sure when I started, because normally the podcasts are between two people at the same level. Like if you have 10 years and someone has 14 years of experience, and those two are just having a conversation that, oh, this is happening in the sector, that is happening. So when I actually started, I'm like, I'm not sure how many people would agree or how they would be getting the whole idea about it. But beautiful response from each and every person that I've reached out to, and really very, very grateful and thankful for the whole idea, because we definitely get to learn not just the whole sector related stuff, but also real life experiences, which are so, so important for the future to rely on. Because what's best than learning from someone else's experiences as well?
Yeah, of course. And then we are LinkedIn, on LinkedIn, we are together, we are connected, right?
Mm,
So
true.
yeah, it's an experience. For me also, it's an
Mm.
experience. So thank you for the experience. I'm really thankful to you.
That's very kind. And talking about being a woman in the logistics sector, please tell us what is that most important piece of advice that we should remember for us to not just survive, but succeed in the sector?
I think so I have, as I have told you, I've worked in not only logistics, I've worked in logistics, warehousing, sales, procurement, and now customer service order operations. So other than and demand supply planning, I have also done a bit.
Mhm.
So I will say polish your skills. One thing,
Okay.
don't don't hesitate. Speak up
Mhm.
in important meetings if you have something really important to say, because if you will not say, somebody else will say.
True.
Okay. So don't think you are lesser than anybody. Don't
Mhm.
overconfident, but at the same time, don't, hold yourself if you have something important to say. Because ideas come when people speak. If you don't speak, I'm not able to, manage it.
Yeah.
How I will know that Ayushi has a great idea, right? So speak up, own your
Mhm.
skills, network, never take safety for granted. Because being a woman, that is one thing. Health and safety comes first.
Definitely.
Compliance comes second, your process excellence and your honing of the skills comes third, and
Uh-huh.
fourth comes networking. So if
True.
you are on these four things, if you know your subject, and if you don't know your subject, ask. Ask right questions. If you are not clear on your subject, ask. I feel that if you don't ask, answer is always no, right? But if you
Definitely.
ask, there is a possibility that people will say yes, right? If you have never
True.
came to me that Priya, I would like to do this. तो मेरा आंसर तो it,
Yeah,
it would have
I
been
could
no,
have just
right?
assumed. Yeah,
But
true.
I had nobody came to me that we would like to do a podcast. For me, this is also a new experience. But then it's refreshing, right? Maybe my answers are not perfect, but at the same time, there is a dialogue happening, right? Between two people. We are at least we I knew somebody, I know today somebody who I was not knowing yesterday, right? So it's a game, correct?
Definitely.
So it's a
And
win-win.
I really do enjoy it a lot when people open up about their stories, because it's a part that you have lived so beautifully, and you get to talk about it. That, yeah, it's like I always like to say that the best part about this podcast is I ensure they know it, that it's more like a student teacher conversation rather than two people at the same level. Because when we put it that way, I think the whole, especially for women, the whole motherly instinct comes out. They're just out there, I should be careful about this, ask questions. As you said, it's the whole mother side of it coming up, where you're protective but also very informative about the other female, especially a younger one who will be entering the sector. So I feel very grateful and very precious as well when I get advice from amazing women like you out there. So
Ayushi, I
thank
have
you so much.
one
Yeah.
more point here, that
Hmm.
because we are doing this podcast,
Yeah.
one more point. Don't limit yourself to logistics. Supply
Okay.
chain is
Hmm.
vast, vast, vast.
True.
Logistics just a part of it. Okay.
Hmm.
So if at any point of time you get an opportunity to learn and work in other sectors also of supply chain, other
Yeah.
functionality also, go for it. So I took this project in Medtronic, this customer service order
Hmm.
operations, because I never did it. I took it as a
True.
challenge. I wanted
Yeah.
to come out of my comfort zone because I have done already, logistics and warehousing for last
Mm.
10, 12 years. I said, let's do it
True.
something else. And I'm
Yeah.
thriving. I'm doing good. I have exceeded expectation from last many years. I got promoted last year. So you can do
Wow.
miracles. Trust me. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So don't limit yourself. So don't frame yourself as if you are logistics person. No, you are a supply chain person, and logistics is just one part of it. So be open
True.
to that. So that is also one
Definitely.
advice.
And I
Yeah.
think that is so. I would like to. So, our audience is actually very vast. It's going to be people in the sector, as well as the ones who will be entering, as well as the ones who have no idea about the sector. So, logistics is a part of supply chain, which is the bigger circle of it. And to be honest, it took me almost 3 months to finally get that clarity, because there are some stuff where it is written the other way around, where supply chain is said to be the part and logistics as the bigger
Mm.
circle. But after so many conversations, I'm convinced logistics is the smaller circle and supply chain is the bigger one.
So
And I feel,
logistics, yeah. So supply chain is, it starts from the time your raw material started procurement. So the raw material procurement to production, to finished goods, to, delivery of the goods, warehousing of it,
hmm,
to customer service. That's all supply chain.
wow, okay.
So you
Yes,
are at
I got the
you
clarity.
are at the last leg of it, which is logistics.
True.
But before that, also lots of activities are happening, which is
Yeah.
also supply chain. So supply chain is a vast, vast.
Perfect. Thank you so, so much for so many amazing tips, life lessons, knowing about how you really took the courage of being so introverted and still getting into such a male dominated sector and thriving so beautifully into it. You are definitely a source of inspiration for most of us, especially the people who are introverted, because it takes a lot of courage, I feel, to get into a sector where communication plays such important role. So kudos to you, ma'am, and I'm sure your mom, your daughter, and everyone around you is very proud of what you have achieved and the person you are. So thank you for inspiring us today, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Thanks, Ayushi, for having me. Thanks, Satan.
Perfect.